review the different reporting options in Cradle to Grave available within Xima CCaaS. There are over 30 standard reports reporting on your agents, your skills and queues, account code reports, call reports listing out the callers, the phone numbers, as well as call volume reports based off of time of day. All of the reports will run inside the HTML interface, but can be exported to PDF, Excel, CSV, HTML, and JSON. All of the reports can be scheduled to run as often as you want, hourly, daily, weekly, and monthly. You can then drill down into all the call details as well as the web chats using Cradle to Grave. Let's take a look. Within the HTML interface, I have my report section. Now I'm currently on the different reporting and standard reports. Inside the interface here, you'll see the different report names as well as who the owner is, who created it, if it was a standard or custom report, how many times it's been ran, and if it's been ran, when was the last time you ran it? And over on the right-hand side, you have your star to set it as a favorite, as well as the menu option where you can add tags, you can export the report, you can rename it, delete it if you wish, edit it, schedule, or create a copy. We'll go over those different options here throughout the training. But when you star a report as it's your favorite, what that will do is ensure that the report is always at the top based off of your login. You can then also easily filter out all the different reports by viewing not all reports, but my reports, showing just the reports you've ran and your starred reports. To go back, just go to all reports or select the custom reports you have created. You can also filter the reports list by selecting the tags option. Here you can filter the reports based off the report type that you want to run. For instance, if you want to see all the agent-based reports, select agents and it will filter that list down to just the agent-based reports. If you want to run reports based off of skills or numbers or time of day, again, select the appropriate tag. Now, because I just installed or set up this instance, I'm going to go and log into a different Xima CCaaS instance that's connected to the same UCaaS platform. So you'll see all the users that we selected, but this has been running for a number of months now, and we can run the different reports. For instance, if I wanted to look at abandoned calls, you can see I've ran that 17 times. The last time I ran this report was on April 7th. It's not a favorite, but if I click on abandoned calls, it will pull up the call details for the last time I ran this report, which looks like it was for March 22nd to the 26th. Now, if that's ever a little hard to read, you can zoom in as it is just an HTML interface. Up in the top right-hand corner, you can reconfigure the report to run for a different time frame or adjust the criteria that it's looking for. You can edit the report from this interface or download it in those 5 different formats. If you wish to go back to your different reports, just go back to your main menu. A few other different standard reports that are pretty common. Maybe I want to look at the agent performance for both calls and web chats. Here you can see your different agents listed out, and you can click on any of the column headers to sort by whichever column header you wish to sort by. By default, it sorts alphabetically on the row type. You can also, again, download, edit, or reconfigure. If I wanted to run this for a different time frame, again, I would just select the appropriate month. Maybe I want to do last month, or last week, or a day. You can select your different agents. We'll go ahead and add Spencer. Adjust the criteria. What is it we're looking for? Specific time of day, hours out of the day, shifts. Let's go ahead and hit apply and run that report. And there I have my updated report for my time frame. Now back at the preview, it will keep that updated preview. So if I were to click on that again, it will show me the updated time frame that I just selected. A few other examples so you can see the different types of reports. Another one is a detailed report, which is also known as a call report, showing all the different calls. So again, if I wanted to look at a particular agent or agent calls, I can see all their different calls, but if I wanted to drill down into those details, I can do that in a detailed report showing me each of the agents' different calls, which ones they're answering, which ones they're missing. Again, if I wanted to add any columns to this report, I can do that right within the report interface. The last format I want to show you is a time-based report. And for this, I'm going to go ahead and use the filter tool and drill down into skills. And I'll do a skill call volume. The call volume reports can be run by hours out of the day, days of the week, weeks of the year, months of the year, whatever time format you're looking for. So let's go ahead and drill down into these reports. And this one is selected or set for hours out of the day. And I can see the call volume to this particular skill by hours out of the day. I have a summary table across the top, if and whenever I need that. I can then go review my other skills or reconfigure this for a different date and time frame or a different layout. Now, one of the excellent things about Xima CCaaS is the ability to customize all of the different reports to fit your business needs. Now, again, there are 3 ways to do this. While you're in the report, you can edit it right from that interface. But just keep in mind, if you're editing that, that's editing a standard report. So I feel the best practice is if you're ever going to edit a report, go back to that report main menu and create a copy of that report. Just create a duplicate and edit the copy of the report. Now, the third option, you can create a report from scratch. From the menu page on the left-hand side, select Create Report. And here you have all the different report types. Really what you're determining here is what is the row type. On the left-hand side, are you going to sort that by account codes, agents, calls, those detailed reports, event types, features, which are those ACW, do not disturb times, login features. Let's go ahead and stick with an agent report. Let's start simple. Agent report, then hit next. Now what you're going to do is add the appropriate columns. You can select from all the predefined values available within the agent report type. So based off the report type that you selected, the values that will be available will differ from report type. Okay, so maybe we want to start with just a simple, I want to see, an overall call count. Okay, and it's going to give you the definition down here along the bottom. When you're ready, if that's the value you want, you just simply hit Add Column. And it's going to create and render a preview of what this report will look like as you build that report. Then maybe we want to see, how many answered calls the agent had. Again, we're not applying any filter criteria, so we're going to just stick with a lot of the predefined metrics. And let's go ahead and then do the missed call count. And again, there's a lot of different values for you to select from. Counts, percentages, durations. You can select on the durations max, average, median. Let's go ahead and add in the talking duration so you can see those different options. Again, what calculation type do you want? Let's go ahead and just do the total talking duration. Okay. Now within the report, you can edit columns if you want to make changes after you've added them to the report. But if once the report is laid out the way you want, go ahead and hit next. Then you're going to add in your summary tables. You can do the suggested summary tables, which are going to be the values that you added. So do you want to see totals, maximum, minimums? What is it you want to see? And there you can see I can add more summary tables than columns that I had. The custom summary metrics could be values that weren't even on the column or the report in details, but just up in the summary table if you want to add that. Once you have your summary tables, go ahead and hit next. And then go ahead and give it a title. We'll just call this Training Agent Report. How do you want it sorted? Do you want to statically assign any charts? You can do line charts on all the reports, pie charts, and bar charts. You get to select the charts that go with which values, and those charts can be applied to the standard reports as well. When you're done, go ahead and hit Save Report. And instantly it wants us to go ahead and run that report. So we'll go ahead and select last week. And apply. And there I have my custom report. Okay, again, if I want to download that, I can easily download that report in the format that I selected. Okay. Let's now go over a more complex or custom report, some of the custom values and unique options inside of Xima CCaaS that allows the reporting to be extremely flexible. And for this, I'm going to go ahead and select a time-based report, which allows me to filter by hours out of the day or days of the week, weeks of the year. Now, one important thing that's kind of hidden up here in the top right-hand corner is what's called a parameter. You can also build formulas if we don't have the value that you're looking for. But I'm going to go ahead and hit Manage Parameters. What a parameter is something that you can filter by and select at runtime. So a very common parameter would be agents or skill. Let's go ahead and create a skill parameter, meaning I'm going to select that at runtime. Okay, and here you have all the different types of parameters you can select from. And again, I'm going to go ahead and do those skill groups and hit Save. Okay, and then hit Finish. I've now created my parameter, but it hasn't been applied to any values. So I can select a predefined value, but if I want to apply a parameter, I want to select customizable. Customizable is going to contain all the predefined values, but now we can filter that down based off of the parameter that we selected. So for instance, if I wanted to just know, again, the overall call count. Now, if I were to do nothing, it's going to do all calls for all skills. Okay, or for every call into the contact center. But if I add a parameter, for instance, skill, I could manually select those. But the downside to manually selecting them here in the report is you would have to edit the report every single time you wanted to run that for a different skill. By hitting the ellipses tool, you can use the parameter and apply that to skill. And one of the other options you can do is expand by skill. So if you selected multiple skills, it will expand the column showing you each individual skill's numbers. If you just assign it to the skill, it will just run it for all the skills that you select. And then it's the same process, add column. Let's go ahead and do a few additional values here, and let me show you the flexibility you have with custom reports. For instance, maybe the next value I want to see is answered calls, answered call count. Now again, I want to filter that down by a parameter, because if I don't select that, what could happen is if I apply a filter to call count, but I don't apply a filter to answered calls, my answered call count could be higher than my call count because it's not filtering down based off skills. It's doing the entire contact center. So let's apply the same filter so our numbers add up and make sense. Use parameter, skills, add column. Let's go ahead and now add abandoned calls. Same idea, but maybe with abandoned calls, I want to break that out based off of a duration. I want to see my abandoned calls if the call was abandoned under 30 seconds. So the call duration was greater than or less than, again, we're going to do less than 30 seconds. And I want to update my column header to match. So I'm going to go ahead and do a less than 30 and add column. Now the other thing that you can do is save a custom value as a predefined column. So if this is a value you're going to add to a lot of reports, go ahead and select save as predefined so you don't have to keep rebuilding the same value. Then it will show up on all of the time-based reports as a predefined value. I'm not going to save that. I'll go ahead and just hit add column. But the next thing I'm going to do is add the same metric but show me my abandoned calls over 30 seconds. So now I have a good idea of, am I losing calls fairly quickly into the call or when they're longer into the call? Okay, so I'm going to apply the same criteria. And here you can see you can filter this down by a lot of different options. You have all these different options. You can filter it down. So what is it you really want to report on? You can do that with Xima CCaaS. So we'll go ahead and do call duration. This time, set that to greater than 31 seconds because we did greater than or equal to on 30 seconds last time. So we don't want our numbers to overlap if it's that exact 30 second. Apply the parameter to skill, add column. Then we'll go ahead and add some, some common values to this. Let's go ahead and do things like maybe our average speed of answer. Skill speed of answer or the agent? I want to know how long it took the skill. It could have gone to multiple agents to answer that. Could have been in the queue for a long time. So let's go ahead and do our speed of answer for the skill. And I want to see our average speed of answer. And again, we'll apply that parameter of a skill. Add column. And then let's go ahead and add how much time did we spend with the caller. Talking duration. Do I want total talking duration, average talking duration? Let's go ahead and do total and apply that to the skill. Okay, again, you can keep creating as many values you want on the report. You can create as many reports as you want, but that is a high-level overview of the different options you have within the custom report creator, which is very easy to use, very customizable, and very flexible. Let's go ahead and hit next. Again, add in the suggested or custom summary metrics. I want to do total calls and how many we answered, how many abandoned under 30 seconds, over 30 seconds, my speed of answer, and let's go ahead and add in our talking durations. You wanted to rename any of those, you could do that here if you wish. Hit next. Enter the title for the report. We'll call this training report. How do you want it sorted? By time. Again, do you want to apply any charts? Do you want to subgroup the report? We'll just go ahead and hit save. And now I can run this report. And maybe just to show a different time format here, let's go ahead and run this for a few different weeks. Let's run it through February all the way through March. And let's filter that by weeks per row. So we'll do weeks per row. Again, what skills? Again, if I didn't do the parameter, that skill option wouldn't be there. I would have had to statically assign that skill. But I can now change this each time I want to run the report. But we'll go ahead and run it for two skills, skill 1 and skill 2, and hit apply. And there's your custom report, showing you your custom details by weeks per row. And again, if you wanted to adjust that, you could. Now, once you have all the reports you want, you don't even have to log into the system if you don't want to. You can schedule those reports to run automatically. Just find the report that you want. Again, you could go back to all reports if you wish. Select the custom reports or the standard reports and schedule that report to run. So maybe one of the reports I want to run or schedule is that abandoned calls report. Select the ellipsis tool and then select schedule for that report. And it's going to bring up your menu option over here on the right-hand side. So I'm going to call this My Abandoned Calls. And let's go ahead and put in the email address that we want to see. Okay, just send it to multiple email addresses, just separate with a comma. If you don't want to include the attachment, but just send a link to the report, that's what that email link option does. But I want to go ahead and include the attachment. I'll go ahead and select Excel. When do you want this report to be delivered? Meaning the first delivery date. Let's go ahead and set this up for a weekly report. So I'll go ahead and select next Monday. When do I want that to be sent? Let's go ahead and say 6 a.m. And again, I'm going to do weekly, but you can do hourly, daily, specific days of the week, weekly or monthly. And then how often? Every week. Hit next. You can schedule multiple reports at the same time. So this is just kind of a second option to select other reports that you want to schedule for weekly to be sent at the same time. I'll just stick with that one report. Hit next. And then when it runs, what you need to do is determine what criteria you want on that report. So when it runs on Monday at 6 a.m., what time frame do you want? Well, I probably don't want March 22nd through the 26th. That's like 3 weeks ago. I want it to be the current week. So when it runs on the 12th, I want to see the 5th through the 11th. And it will keep updating week over week. So when it runs on the 19th, it'll show the 12th through the 18th. When it runs on the 26th, it will show the 19th through the 25th. And then go ahead and hit finish. And there's your scheduled report. If you want to adjust the reports, delete the reports, you can do that. Now, it's important to remember, in order for the scheduled reports to be sent, you must update the SMTP settings. Let's just review that just in case you're not sure where that setting is. It is back in the desktop administration tool. Go to System Settings, Basic Settings. Enter your SMTP email address, the email address it's going to be shown from. So I recommend every customer create a new email address for your reports. If your mail server requires encryption, go ahead and select that encryption type. Enter your SMTP host, either the name or the IP address. What port does your SMTP server use? And if your server requires authentication, which most do, enter your SMTP username and password, which is why having an email address is very useful. And then go ahead and save. And now all of your scheduled reports should be good to go as long as you entered the appropriate and correct details. Now, the last thing I want to review when it comes to reporting is cradle to grave. Think of cradle to grave like a master report. If ever you run a report and you just scratch your head going, how did it come up with those details? Or what really did this customer experience? What menu option did they select out of the IVR? What did the agent and the customer chat about? You can review all those details in cradle to grave. Then select your date and time range that you want to see and go ahead and hit apply. And you can filter that down to the call, to the chat detail, by phone number. And then when you want to drill down into a particular call, and again, if you want to zoom in, just go ahead and zoom in on your web page and then expand the call. You'll see if it went to the default IVR or if it went straight into the skill. Well, from that IVR, what digit action did they press? Oh, they pressed option 1 to go to skill 1, and then it queued up for 27 seconds. Well, it played audio for 22 seconds, then it offered over to the agent, so it was presenting to Spencer. Took him 5 seconds to answer it, and then they talked for 10 seconds. Well, what happened on this call? Okay, same idea. And you can drill down into all the call details. You can also see if an agent missed a call. So this call, if I want to look in the queue, oh, this presented over to Spencer, but he didn't answer it. And so the customer hung up the call. This went abandoned after 6 seconds. Because again, if they would have opted out of the queue, if they would have pressed 1 to schedule a queue callback, press 0 to reach the operator, you would see that transfer action. So we can see they hung up while listening to queue audio. And let me show an example of where they maybe scheduled a queue callback. Here's a call came in, again, digit action 1 to skill 1. And there, if I drill down, I can see they scheduled a queue callback. And you'll be able to drill down what happened when we called them back. Did they accept it? Did they snooze it? Did they cancel the queue callback? You're going to see all those details. Oh, this customer accepted it, and it presented over to Spencer. Now, right below that, I have some web chats. If you ever want to drill down into those web chats, you can see those web chat details. The web chats have just a slightly different icon there. You can kind of see the chat icon versus the phone icon. And again, if you ever want to drill down into those, you can expand those. You can see how long they waited on the website and did the chat present to multiple agents. Here you can see this presented to Spencer, but he didn't answer it. So then the customer waited for 27 minutes for that queue. Then it offered to Spencer again. He didn't answer it. Offered over to Dave. He didn't answer it. So you can see when agents miss a web chat. And then if they accept it, you can see which agent accepted it and what did they chat about. And you can expand those chat details. Looks like this one was just a particular test, but there you can see the level of detail of the customer experience on the web chat, as well as what did they chat about. The full chat log. Did they transfer the chat to a different agent or skill? You'll be able to see those details as well. If you ever need to filter down on a particular agent, well, for instance, Spencer there, he missed quite a few calls and chats. Maybe we want to filter that down based on the agent or the skill or the customer phone number. Let's go ahead and look at just Spencer. What calls and web chats was he involved with? And we can now drill down and see all the calls that either got presented to Spencer that he answered, missed. We can really start to see what behavior the agent is doing. If they're entering any account codes, or if the call came in on a particular phone number, we would see that under the tag field. So Cradle to Grave is your master report that allows you to see all the different details, and you can add additional columns to Cradle to Grave by hitting that Edit Columns option.